y'all, Gramma Rose here. I've got a question for you. Do any of you sew? And I'm not talking about sewing well enough to make designer clothes. Or maybe you're a quilter. Or maybe you just do a little mending. What I'm talking about is mending, because that's about all that you would need for the project that I'm talking about. I want to know how many of you have a sewing machine. So how many of you actually use your sewing machine? Is where you can get to it? Do you know where it is? I guess that's the main thing, is do you know where it is and can you find it? Because the project that I'm talking about requires a sewing machine. And I suppose if you can hand sew and sew teeny tiny little bitty stitches, then that would work too. But the sewing machine is going to make it faster. Okay, now, we are all aware that there's a shortage of masks, of medical masks. Everybody has gone crazy buying medical masks, and they are not to be found. And our medical system, our hospital systems, our doctor's offices need them. We need them. There's, a point of safety. You want to be as safe as you can during this crazy time, historic time. We've never been through this before. But in the past, think about in the past, when there have been emergencies and, say, wars and all kinds of conflicts, the people who were left at home did what they could to help the troops who were away. I know there have been people who have knit socks for the troops. And back, I guess, during previous many wars. Think about the Civil War, perhaps, and maybe the American Revolution and other wars. The people at home rolled bandages. They would roll bandages for the medics, for the doctors, for the injured in the wars. So what are people doing now? Now we are not at war with another country, but we are at war with a virus. And what we need is a mask that is going to keep us safe and is going to keep our medical personnel safe. And that is an N95 mask, or even better than an N95 mask if there can be. But those are not to be found. You can't find them. Now, if you go on Google, everybody knows Google. You're watching this on the computer, so you are computer literate and you know what Google is. So go on Google and Google, text, search, free pattern medical masks. That's all you need. Free pattern medical masks. There are paid for patterns out there, but if there are free patterns out there, those are better, right? And that doesn't mean to say that the ones that you pay for are not as good or are better. Maybe they are better. I don't know, but people are trying to take advantage of this and making money off of it. There are people who have designed these patterns and are giving the patterns away for free. Out of the goodness of their hearts, they could be selling them on their Etsy shop, if they had an Etsy shop, and making some money off of them. But no, they have designed this, and they're giving it to everybody to help people be safe. So I've been watching this. Now, let me back up just a little bit here. Several weeks ago, this has been going on since January, February. We've gone on for 2 months at least. And it's been a while, but I was watching a video by a Canadian prepper, and he was talking about the scarcity of the masks and that you could use a Hepa air filter to take the air filter apart. You don't want to use a nylon, no. You don't want to use a fiberglass filter, obviously. You don't want to be breathing in glass particles. But you can find air filters that are not made out of fiberglass. To get a Hepa filter, a good Hepa filter, cut it apart and use it as a mask. Put it inside a bandana, whatever you need to do to use as a mask. That's as far as he went. He didn't know what to do with it, but he was on the right track. Use a Hepa filter. So, looking at these patterns that are out now, I found one or several that suggested using not just the air filter, but the Hepa filters for vacuum cleaner bags. Yes, Hepa filters for vacuum cleaner bags. Google is our friend. I did some research again, and I discovered these virus particles aren't free floating in the air. They're parked on like dust particles or droplets of water. When you sneeze, the particle is on the droplet of water, and that water particle is going to be blocked by the filter. The dust particle will be blocked by the filter, and the virus won't get through. So a 0.3 micron filter is effective. Okay? Now, so let me show you what I did. Amazon. Bring this over. There we go. Is it focusing? So here we go. The bags. This is this brand. EnviroCare Technologies. There's 6 bags in this package. Okay. And each of these bags is, look how big that is. 2-sided. But one thing I want to show you about this. Now this is important. On this box here, on the back of it, it says this is designed and developed in the USA and manufactured in China. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the manufacturing process, but it means that once these leave our warehouses, they're probably going to be gone for a long time. These are going to sell out. And if you need to get something like this, you need to go get it now, while they're still available and before other people start thinking about it. If you want to use these HEPA filters in making your face masks, then go order one now while they're still available. I ordered this 2 days ago and they were still available on Amazon. I got prime shipping on them. How in the world I got prime shipping, I don't know. What I mean is how I got it prime shipping in 2 days, I don't know. Maybe because it was the HEPA filter and they figured out what I was going to do with it. Because I ordered something else today, prime, and it's not coming for 2 weeks. So this meets the standards that Amazon is using for quick shipping, fast shipping. So you should be able to get it within a couple of days like I did. Just need to get on there and order it while they still have them. I would hate for you to miss out on this. Now, in my search for these patterns, or just not in my search for these patterns, but again, looking at the patterns, I found a particular design that I trust more than anything else. This is designed by Unity Point Health in Cedar Rapids. I will leave a link in the description box below where to go to get this pattern, and it is a free pattern. There's a video that goes along with this where they walk you through actually making this pattern. It's a little bit more complicated than some of the other ones. Some of the patterns are made just with a rectangle of fabric that is pleated. Looks like a surgical mask. And some of the other ones are made to mold on your face. But they have a seam through them, and they don't have anything as a, well, I'll take that back. They're made to mold on your face like that, of your nose, of your chin. And those are great. Now, some of them have a lining of some kind sewn inside of it. In fact, the one that I saw that had the HEPA filter, the vacuum filter, was sewn inside of it. And the lady was talking about washing it. And I don't know, I was just a little uncomfortable with washing it. So I found this pattern from Cedar Rapids. And what it is, it has a pocket on the inside of it where you can take out the filter and replace the filter. So I think that's the way to go. So I will leave a link to this video, and you can watch how to make it and make your own, and you can make some to send to your hospitals or your clinics or whoever else might need them. Now this filter that they made, the mask, they didn't show how to complete it. They wanted people to make the mask and then to send them to them. And then they would put on the straps and they would put in the filter and they would do all these things. So all you had to do was make the mask as they showed you, send it off to them, and they left an address. And if you want to do this, this is wonderful. But it didn't show how to finish it. So that's quite a problem if you want to do it locally. If you want to make it for your healthcare providers in your own town, your own city, then you need to know how to finish it. So in that case, it might be a good idea to look at some of the other videos that are out there that show how to complete their masks. Now, elastic has become really, really difficult to find. So, let me show you what these people decided to use. Not using elastic because you can't find elastic, but you can find this. So I have a ponytail. I have a bun. This is what I use. So these are hair elastics, but they're big ones. See how big this is? And that's a good size. And so you can use that in place of elastic. Where the other ones will call for using elastic, you can use these, and they are large enough that they should fit over your ear easily. Like here, you can put this over your ear, and it's large enough and it's not uncomfortable. See that? So this will work. And if you can't find any of these, or you don't want to go to the store, you can't find them on Amazon or online where you could order them, then the other option is to use a tie. So you can use ribbon for a tie. You can make a long tie like a drawstring made out of fabric and fold it in and fold it in and sew it down to make a tie. And then in that case, you would sew it into the inside before you finish your mask, and then when you turn it back right side out, those ties are going to be on the outside. That's another option, and there are patterns that show you how to do that. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel and show you how to do this, but let me show you what I've got, what I have done. So here's part of the pattern that I cut out. Okay, let me find the other parts of it. So this is for the lining on the inside. The lining. So there's the pattern. And then here's the pattern. So you're cutting two pieces of this, and then it'll be sewn together on the curve to make the cup shape that goes over your face. And then when you put this together, like this, these pieces overlap, like that. And then you can put the filter, probably overlaps like this, because this is the part that's going to go over your face. And then you can insert the filter on the inside here. Well, because these people at this hospital are saying to bring the mask, or send the mask to them, they don't have a pattern in the pattern for a filter. So I used this, and I doubled it, and I came up with this. What I've done is taken a flat piece of paper like this and folded it, and then just fold it in the corners to meet the same profile. And then you can cut this out of your Hepa filter and slide this into place inside the mask. Now, the problem with these then is sterilization. Do you want to throw away this filter every time you use the mask? Well, people are talking about washing these masks. And I'm concerned about using the filters and trying to wash the filters. But I'm also concerned about just throwing them away too. So what do? Okay, a lot of you know, or maybe you don't know, if you're new to my channel, that I'm what am I? I'm a molecular biologist. a cell biologist. I'm a botanist. Well, probably should turn my phone off. I'm a botanist. And when you think of botanist, you think of people who go out in the woods and they study plants and they collect plants and make plant collections, know how to identify plants, and that's what a botanist is, right? A botanist uses scientific names, they talk all this mumbo-jumbo, and nobody can understand what a botanist is doing. Well, they also study plant nutrition and how plant diseases and all kinds of things. Well, my specialization was like microbiology. A microbiologist studies bacteria and viruses. And that didn't interest me. I wanted to be able to see something through the microscope. So I studied cell biology. But I still had to use a microscope to study the cells. Now, instead of cutting apart a plant and looking at it, what we did was we used tissue culture. And you may have heard of tissue culture. It's like taking a plant and dissolving all of the glue within the cells and making all the cells spread out in a liquid where they're individual cells growing in a liquid medium. Very similar to algae. Very, very similar to algae growing in water. Well, when you do that, everything has to be sterile. Totally, totally sterile. How do you sterilize something like that? You use an autoclave. You may not have ever seen an autoclave unless you've been to the dentist. The dentist uses autoclave to sterilize their instruments. And a lot of medical offices would have autoclaves also, especially the old-fashioned ones where the syringes were metal. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember those old metal syringes where they used the same syringe over and over again and actually they used the same needles over and over again. But they had to be autoclaved each time, so doctors' offices had them. So I'm familiar with an autoclave. And what an autoclave does is it uses steam under pressure to sterilize what you put inside it. It can be instruments, it can be liquids, it can be glassware, jars, it can be anything. Tongue depressors, it can be anything. Put in the autoclave and set the timer on it and let it go, and it will sterilize your instruments. Well, I wasn't certain exactly what temperature that it needed to be, because I thought, I don't have an autoclave, but what do I have that takes steam and uses pressure, brings steam under pressure? I have a pressure canner, and I have a pressure cooker. But is that pressure canner or pressure cooker hot enough? Does it get hot enough to work as an autoclave? So again, go on Google. Google is our friend. We know that. So I Googled, and under Google, when I Googled, I've got a result for a paper that was published in 1984. I don't know exactly I don't know what publication the paper was published in, but it was listed in PubMed. Now, what is PubMed? You probably never have heard of PubMed. I used PubMed when I was working as a lab technician, and it was our job. Part of my job was to look at the scientific literature every week and keep up to date on what was going on in our field, and then report back to my boss what I had found, and then he would go look up the articles and choose the ones that he thought that were the most newsworthy, I suppose would be a good way to put it, or the most useful, that was better for our uses in our laboratory, what we were doing. And so I was familiar with PubMed. I knew what it was, and what it is, it's actually the search option for Medline. And Medline is a database of all the scientific papers that are out there and all the journals and online and all other kind of things. So I found this article. It was an old article from 1984. It's in the NCBI. NCBI is the National Center for Biotechnology Information. And it's part of the National Library of Medicine, which is also a branch of the NIH. So there you go. Now in this article, It was talking about using pressure cookers as an autoclave. And it said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. But it didn't talk about killing viruses. It talked about killing bacteria. And it said, yes, at 15 pounds of pressure, that's enough. 15 pounds of pressure for 20 minutes. You can kill bacteria. So, there again, it put me on another wild goose chase. What temperature does it get to at 15 pounds of pressure? More searches. I ended up at the CDC. Now the CDC has a paper on sterilization. One of the sterilization techniques that the CDC article talked about was autoclaving. And it mentioned that at 121 degrees Celsius, that's 250 degrees Fahrenheit, for 20 minutes, you could kill viruses. Okay. So I checked it out and found out another search, more searches, onto Wikipedia. And I found out that yes, at 15 pounds of pressure in a pressure canner and a pressure cooker, you can get up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit or 121 degrees Celsius. So yes, a pressure canner or a pressure cooker at 15 pounds pressure is equivalent to an autoclave. You can use your pressure canner and do it just like you're canning. You put a little bit of water at the bottom of it because it has to have the water to create steam. So what we did for our instruments is we would wrap them in aluminum foil, because you want to be able to take them out of it. You want to be able to remove them from the autoclave without touching them with your fingers. So they needed to be wrapped in something. And we used aluminum foil. And the aluminum foil didn't have to be sealed completely. It just had to be wrapped around it so you didn't get your germs from your hands on it. So you can take one of these face masks. If you're going to make these face masks, you can fold it up, fold it in half, wrap it in aluminum foil, put it in your pressure canner on a shelf in whatever you use to keep something out of the liquid. Put some jars in it, for heaven's sake, and put it on top of the jars. Turn it on, 15 pounds of pressure on your pressure cooker. Cook it for 30 minutes. And you have autoclaved this face mask. So you could use this same Hepa filter over and over and over again, autoclaving it each time. You are very effectively sterilizing these masks. And if you have a pressure cooker, if you have a pressure canner, yes, you can do this. So there you go, y'all. There is the answer. That's how to do it. That's how to sterilize these masks and to reuse them over and over and over again. Now, isn't that a great idea? I mean, it wasn't my idea, because somebody back in 1984 had the idea of using a pressure cooker as an autoclave. But back in 1984, we weren't having a shortage of N95 masks. And using this Hepa filter that I got from the vacuum cleaner, that is equivalent to an N95 mask. So putting that filter inside these cloth masks that we're making, we are effectively making an N95 mask. And I just think that's super. It wasn't my idea. I cannot take credit for the idea. I'm just passing on the idea. So let's get out there and let's sew some of these things. If you want to make it for yourself, then that is great. Do it for your own protection, but make extra ones to give away. And I know there are a lot of people out there in the homesteading community particularly who do food storage, and a lot of us have pressure canners. A lot of us have pressure cookers. Now, I don't know if an Instant Pot will get up to the same pressure. I don't know if the Instant Pot will get up to 15 pounds of pressure. But if you have a stovetop pressure cooker where you can adjust the pressure on it, then you're set to go. I'm set to go. And I hope you are too. So bye, y'all. See you next time.